We start with the DXY. And yeah, dollar looks very, very bullish at the moment. We're still seeing price create higher prices, still seeing price push a lot higher. We're still trading in that zone where I do think we can find some resistance and see some downside, but it does look like price is trying to break through. So this is the area I'm looking at seeing some downside from. And of course, we've got the trend lines there, first, second, and third lower high. Excuse me, it looks like price is trying to break through that and see some upside. Yeah, definitely a lot of volume at the moment. Tony Gold from the US, yeah. At the moment, definitely seeing a lot of movement. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this progresses throughout the week. We still got CPI tomorrow, so that's going to be an interesting event. But at the moment, it's definitely safe to say that USD is very, very strong. Now I'm looking to see what we do in this area because we have seen a lot of momentum. But this is where the market has found a lot of resistance in the past, and we have seen a lot lower highs here. First, second, third. Is this going to be our fourth? It's just going to be a big wick by the end of the week, or are we going to see a strong close and the market's going to keep pushing higher? This for me is still bearish territory, so I won't be looking at continuations of that USD strength, at least for my trading. Again, if you're in the lower time frames, you can still take advantage of some shorter term opportunities. But strictly speaking, on the higher time frames, this is where I do expect sellers to step in. And if they don't, and if buyers still are proving strong and price does break to the upside, of course, I'll reanalyze that, and possibly we might be seeing a big break for USD and some upside, possibly back to that swing high in the near future, or sometime in the future, maybe not near future. But you guys get my point. If you do break through this, I will look to switch around that bias. But for now, this is still where the sellers will be sitting, and we'll see if they are strong enough to reject price. At the moment, not really seeing much sign of that, to be honest. We're still seeing a lot of momentum, and price does look very, very bullish on the daily chart, full hour chart, and in the intraday charts as well. But because where we're situated, it's not really bullish territory, so I won't be looking at continuing that USD momentum. But if I do see a sustained break, that will be a sign that, okay, maybe USD strength is here to stay, and maybe we're going to see a big breakout of that big range that USD has been doing for a while. And of course, EURUSD has been kind of ranging in a similar fashion, of course, looking pretty bearish right now. So possibly we can see USD continue to push higher and EURUSD continue to fall. You can see there is a big area here, which I'm looking for price to bounce from. Again, not really seeing much evidence of that happening. There is a low down here, which could come and retest. So there are some deeper targets for us to push into 1.05. But again, if I'm going to look to short EURUSD, I need to see a sustained pullback. If I drop to the full hour chart, this is not bearish territory for me. Bullish territory. No, it is bearish territory. Not bearish territory for me as we come back into that swing low. I need price to push up, maybe back into that high over there, see some resistance, and then speak about some shorts. And that could be really a swing trade there. But at the moment, still coming into a major low, not really a place for me to sell, especially when the market is quite stretched as well. But I'm going to take shorts here. I need price to at least pull back, and of course USD to pull back as well. But yeah, EURUSD is looking very, very bearish. I still do think we can bounce, but it may just be a bounce for us to continue falling. So keep that in mind. Pound USD, last time I looked, was looking pretty bearish as well. Yes, bit of a move to the downside. Still kind of trading inside this descending channel, so I'm not convinced quite yet. But overall, the market is still very corrective. It looks like price is trying to break through that daily level, however. And if we do succeed, that could be the catalyst for a lot more downside. So I was looking at this daily high for a bounce, which we did kind of see, but it hasn't really mounted to much. And now it looks like price is trying to break through. So if we keep that up, yeah, this will be the next low I'll be looking at, around 1.26802. So in my book, could see pound USD fall another 100, 150 pips to the downside as well, especially if we come back for the retest of that same area. If we can do something like this, reject that same area, another lower high, just kind of stay within that confinements of the channel, we're probably likely to keep falling. Looking at Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar, these guys look pretty bearish to me. Yeah, it's still looking pretty bearish. Again, still looking for these guys to push back into the daily lows down here, which is 0.64. I expect that's where the bigger move is going to be for Aussie dollar, back into 0.64, as we've been rejecting the high of the range very, very well. This is where I'm expecting us to come back into the low of the range. Essentially, looks like price is on its way. we've had a nice retest of this low on the left, and price has just used that to its advantage, and now it looks like we're continuing. So there could be some nice shorts if we were to come back and retest that same area, or possibly some break and retest underneath that low. Again, the market's still a bit stretched, so not really the type of trade for me, but some intraday opportunities could look good. If the market does have a really nice break, pullback, that could be a nice opportunity on the lower time frames. And as the USD is similar vibe as well, but I think this one's a bit too close to the low maybe for some shorts. So I'm looking for price to get into this level. So it might be a little bit of a tight squeeze if you're looking for some break and retest of the low, since the level is not too far away from us. But again, I do expect USD to keep falling. 0.588 is where I expect us to end up. And then maybe from there we see a big bounce, and maybe USD goes for a bit of a breather. But at the moment, it's still looking bearish, and probably we'll see another drop there. If we take a look at gold, so gold, last time I checked, was looking very, very bearish. Yeah, look at that, very, very bearish. So that completely obliterated that level there. I was looking at 2640, no nonsense, and it's actually broken through that low there as well. And I said yesterday I'll still remain bullish from gold if we stay above that low, which is at 2609. And now it looks like we've broken through that. So I'm definitely going to have to put a pause to that bullish bias in gold, and I will be expecting to see a deeper correction now. Again, it's not to say that gold longer term isn't going to go up. Most likely is, but the market is still pretty stretched. Now that we've broken structure, this to me opens up the door for sustained movements to the downside, and then maybe we see another bullish cycle maybe at some point next year. But I do think if we were to see some upside now for gold, it's probably going to put a lower high in and probably see some more downside. And I especially like the momentum of gold. It's not like we've kind of slowly, correctively fallen and broken the low. We've hit some heavy, big, impulsive bearish candles, and we've really seen a lot of momentum here. So it looks good. If gold does pull back, I would expect to see some downside going into the future. So if I just clean up the chart a little bit, if you can get a retest of the low here, I think that's a really nice place to start looking for some shorts, or above that area anyway. But yeah, I'll be expecting more downside for gold. However, silver, I'm still having a bullish bias, although I might not be looking to push the trade too far anymore. This is still really where I want to go long. It's not quite there yet, but I will look for a bounce at this area. And again, it might just be a push back into this level around 32.3. And then it might just continue falling. This might form into a, did not mean to do that. This might form into a really big head and shoulder pattern. So you've got the left, you've got the head, and you've got the right shoulder there. And possibly might see a bit more downside as well. Because of course, gold and silver do the same thing. So if I'm going to look to long silver, and gold's going to continue falling, it's probably not going to go too far. But if I can get a move back into the high there, that still looks like a good trade to be.